Someone hands a California builder a $3 million budget and says, "Build me a custom home." What happens next is not what most people expect, because that $3 million does not buy $3 million worth of house. By the time the government is done with its fees, the architects are done with their drawings, the general contractor has taken his cut, and the carrying costs have compounded across an 18-month build. The actual structure sitting on that lot represents a fraction of the total spend. This is where every dollar actually goes. Start with the land. In a high-demand California market, coastal Southern California, the Bay Area, parts of the Central Coast, a buildable lot in a desirable location starts at $500,000 and climbs fast. In premier markets like Los Altos, Malibu, or Pacific Palisades, raw land alone can consume $600,000 to $900,000 of a $3 million budget before a single permit is pulled. That leaves somewhere between $2 and $2.4 million for everything else, and everything else is a long list. The first thing that surprises people who have never built in California is the soft cost stack. Soft costs are every dollar you spend before a shovel hits the ground. Architecture and structural engineering alone typically run 10 to 15% of total construction cost. On a $2 million build, that is $200,000 to $300,000 for drawings, structural calculations, energy compliance documentation, and construction oversight. That money does not appear in the finished product. It is the cost of being allowed to build it. Then come the permits. California has the highest impact fees for home building in the country. In high-cost jurisdictions, building permits, plan check fees, school impact fees, park fees, and traffic impact fees can run from $50,000 to $150,000 on a luxury custom home. These are not optional. They are not negotiable. They have increased 68% since 2013. Add soils reports, civil engineering, title fees, and construction loan interest, typically 6 to 8% annually on the drawn balance across an 18-month build. And the soft cost stack on a California luxury home lands between 25 and 35% of total project budget before hard construction begins. On a $3 million budget, that is potentially $600,000 to $900,000 spent before anyone pours a foundation. Now the hard costs. The actual construction. California construction costs remain 25 to 28% above pre-2020 levels. For luxury custom builds in high-demand markets, the cost per square foot runs from $600 to over $800, with some Bay Area projects exceeding $950 per square foot. A 3,000 square foot luxury home at $700 per square foot is $2.1 million in hard construction costs. That covers foundation, framing, roofing, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, drywall, flooring, cabinetry, appliances, windows, and exterior finishes. It does not include land. It does not include soft costs. It does not include the general contractor's fee. Labor accounts for roughly 40% of hard construction costs in California. Skilled tradespeople in this state command some of the highest wages in the country. Electricians, plumbers, and finish carpenters in Southern California and the Bay Area routinely bill at $100 per hour and above. The general contractor sits on top of all of it, charging 10 to 20% of total construction cost for overhead and profit. On a $2 million hard cost build, that is another $200,000 to $400,000. That fee is real and it is earned. A California luxury build involves dozens of subcontractors, hundreds of line items, and a permitting process that can add months to a timeline if mismanaged, but it is still a line item most buyers never see coming. Here is what the full picture looks like. On a $3 million all-in California custom home budget, a realistic allocation in a high-demand market breaks down roughly like this. Land consumes $600,000 to $900,000. Soft costs, architecture, engineering, permits, fees, and financing consume another $400,000 to $600,000. Hard construction, including the general contractor's fee, runs $1.4 to $1.8 million. And a mandatory contingency of 10% sits on top, because in California construction, cost overruns are not a risk, they are a certainty. When the dust settles, the actual structure represents maybe half of what was spent. The rest went to the state, the county, the municipality, the professionals, and the lenders. Developers and custom home builders who understand this cost structure build differently. They buy land that is already entitled. They design to the permit, rather than designing first and permitting second. They price contingency in before they start, not after they run out of money. The people who do not understand it are the ones who hand a builder a $3 million budget expecting a $3 million house and end up with a finished home, a depleted account, and the slow realization that the business of building in California has its own rules and its own winners. Now you know what they know. If you want to understand what is actually happening in the business of building America, the money, the margins, the rules nobody tells you, this channel is where that story gets told. Subscribe and do not miss what comes next.